how
Remind
many
me,
dispensaries
speaking of like Montana culture, when we get talking about movies, there's like a Montana thing. I've got to tell you about the movie industry in Montana.
Oh yeah, I know there's
yeah,
been like a recent
news.
Western or a couple Westerns.
Oh,
even.
well, this ain't a Western, but it certainly stars one of the premier, tough guy actors of our day who maybe would have been a Western star.
All right, I'll definitely remind you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, Montana, the cultural capital of the United States. Let's remember that. Yeah, so you went to the Weed Festival. Shall we do a movie talk then?
Yeah. What's going on in Montana?
What's going on in Montana?
That seems like a natural segue.
Well,
we were just talking about it.
One of the premier entertainers of the last 3 decades, Mr. Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark himself.
Oh yeah,
the president of Boston, has actually stepped outside of Boston, somewhat sacrilegiously, one might say. But he's made a new film called Father Stu, which I believe is set primarily, or at least partially, in Montana. I'm looking up now whether it was actually filmed in Montana, but
filmed in New York City.
If it was, then that's
filmed in downtown Boston.
yeah, it's just all shot in Boston. Oh, okay. Here we go. The film was shot in Los Angeles in just 30 days in May 2021. It also contained some scenes shot in and around Helena, Montana.
Oh,
so I assume, given everyone in the United States knows each other, and it's like Helena is just like a couple of minutes away from you, I guess, and you can just go.
Oh, exactly.
All your friends are there.
Yeah. No, I've never been to Helena. My family's been when my dad used to do like consults out in various places around the state. But
there you go. You've heard of it. You've got a connection.
I know the place. I think it's the capital. I'm pretty sure it's the capital of the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Boston is the capital of
America.
Of America, yeah. The dope thing about this film, though, is it's written and directed by Mel Gibson's girlfriend, who is Rosalind Ross, who has never directed or maybe even written for the screen anything before.
Does Mel produce or anything?
He's in it. He has a cameo. Maybe he's like executive producer or something. He's not listed on the produced by on Wikipedia, but Mel appears in it with his big beard and stuff. Apparently, there's a lot of unflattering shots of his beer gut.
Comes and gives a nice little speech about international Jewry and then disappears.
He actually apparently does have some weird line about that would be Hitler something Jews some shit like that.
Oh, Mel.
It's like a fucking Mark Steele joke. Well, that would be like if Hitler was
That would be like if Hitler killed somebody important.
Whoa, yeah. Well, maybe Mel Gibson.
It's a joke.
He's like, guys.
Don't cancel me.
Everyone's got to sign NDAs now because of what Mel said on the set. But yeah, this is
allegedly. There we go. We're good.
Allegedly, this is Mark Wahlberg's alleged pivot into religious, is there a term for it? Christian, faith-based, that's it. Faith-based filmmaking.
Okay, yeah.
So, I should add, by the way, not judging, but Mel Gibson's girlfriend, Rosalind Ross, is a couple of years older than us. She's early 30s and has been dating him since she was 23. So Mel Gibson is not concerned with age gaps and so forth.
No, well, he's too busy competing for that God is not dead dollar.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he was particularly artistically involved in this one. This is more of a Marky Mark joint.
Okay.
Marky Mark has put all his he said millions and millions of dollars of his own money into this film, which is
That's
about
funny. I don't think of Marky Mark. I mean, he's obviously not a super progressive fellow or anything.
Oh no,
I don't usually think of him as
about?
faith-based cinema. You know.
Well, that's the thing. Like he has made a lot of films that he personally, privately considers to be in poor taste. For example, his breakout performance, one that is considered by many to be his best, Boogie Nights.
Oh, hell yeah.
He's apparently deeply penitent about that film. And, it's a big subject at confession, apparently, because, yeah, he's a big Catholic. Marky Mark.
Okay, yeah, Boston, sure,
Boston,
Irish.
yeah, exact Boston strong Catholicism. So he's made this film about this guy called Father Stuart Long, who was a boxer who turned Catholic priest, and then developed inclusion body myostasis.
Is that like a brain thing or something?
It's a inflammatory muscle disease. So I guess it's like a degenerative thing, muscle thing.
Bummer.
Yeah. He died pretty young and all that. 1963 to 2014. Anyway, so it's like this is a film where like it's a kind of hard talking man. Hard talking, says the F word and such. Hard drinking, you know. He's a boxer, heavy fists, and then he becomes a Catholic priest. So it combines like kind of the facets of Marky Mark persona that one might recognize from cinema, like him being like, you fucking queer, you fucking, you know, but with his like religious concerns. Like he's like, I want to make films that like change the world. You know, I want to make films that are about something and that say something and that can have a positive influence. All this shit. It was released during Holy Week this year. Father Stu. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about this film because I've not seen it, but it's I'm just finding the whole thing really funny. Because yeah, I'm a Marky Mark fan. I find him to be a very entertaining screen presence.
Yeah,
this film sounds pretty terrible, but I'm kind of interested.
Yeah,
it's like a Boston film, but it's not actually set in Boston or about.
It's
Boston.
got the spirit of Boston
exactly
runs through it. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to check it out. Like, I mean, I do usually end up checking out a lot of things about Montana since I live here, and it's not a very movie making state. Like, there's not a lot of stories you can tell about Montana other than like murdering Native Americans or something.
Yeah, we were gonna just like talk about some different shit we've actually watched, unlike Father Stu, which neither of us have seen.
Yeah, there's only so much you can talk about something you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Cool to hear about that, though.
Well, here is something. Dig this. I'm just double checking.
I dig it.
Just double checking. I've still got MP3 Skype recorder going. Yeah, it's still going. Cool. Per our conversation last time we recorded, I have now watched Father Stu.
Oh, yes. Excellent.
The new faith-based movie from star and producer Mark Wahlberg, director and writer Mel Gibson's girlfriend, and co-star Mel Gibson. She's called Rosalind something. I haven't got the page up right now, but yeah. Anyway, probably one of the strangest films I've ever seen. Just a real tonal mishmash, like 5 different films jammed into one. So, like, you know, he's a boxer. Then he goes down to Hollywood and tries to become an actor and is thwarted at every turn by evil gay people. And then he decides to join the church to get some pussy, and then he decides to actually, like, fully commit to it for real. And then he gets, like, a terminal illness. But he finally defeats the gays who exist even within the Catholic Church, and is ordained as a priest. So it's a roller coaster. It captures Mark Wahlberg at all the different stages of the life of a Mark Wahlberg.
So I haven't seen this film. I haven't seen tons of Christian films, but what I am familiar with of the genre, like God Is Not Dead and the likes of that, that just sounds like it hit every single plot point of every Christian movie I've ever heard of.
Yeah, but it had swearing in it, and
it's always got to have terminal illness and finding God, and it's that angry atheist, right?
Yes,
Mel Gibson plays the angry atheist.
Okay, but there's the key distinction, because whereas in God Is Not Dead, it's low rent fucking out of work TV actor Ken Sorbo. It's fucking kind of mid rent now once again in work Mel Gibson. Like that
budget superstar.
That's a huge step up. Like, come on, and he's really good in this. In as much as it's pretty thin material, but it's the kind of role that suits Mel Gibson to just kind of be just like this bitter old man, just like sitting, just like drinking some shit cheap beer, like he's got hanging out.
I don't believe in God, but I hate it.
In front of his like fucking like tiny black and white TV in his trailer with his gun in the other hand, just sitting there like, God, fuck that asshole. Not that he exists, but if he did, I'd fuck him right in the ass. I'm just looking up I pretty much gave you and Tom a running commentary on this shit in our group chat.
Yeah.
I realized.
It was fairly detailed.
Yeah, because I was like, what the fuck am I watching? I'd heard about the film, but it was everything that I'd heard it was and more. Just a random quote for a bit. I can't even remember the context. I don't know why Mark Wahlberg's character, then not a father yet, just Stu. I don't know why he's feeling the need to assure this other character of this, but he's like, I'm not gay, alright? And God's not a gangster. Just the perfect thing, a really indignant, why did the guy think he's gay? I don't know, I can't remember what the scene was about.
Can you remember why he thought God was a gangster?
Was it the bit where he was in prison? There's this bit where he goes to prison, and he's the gay priest who is jealous of him, is oh, I'm gay, you guys should believe in God. and all the hardened inmates
that's really convincing argument.
I think this guy is gay. I'm an atheist. And then Mark Wahlberg's like, let me fucking handle this. Let me fucking handle this. All right. And he just basically tells all these convicts, don't call your family. Your family actually want you to die. They'll be happy if they don't hear from you, so they can just forget about you and your miserable life that you have fucked up. But you know who does want to talk to you? Yeah, somebody does want to talk to you. And that somebody is God. Is that how you say God in a Boston accent? Because, he's not supposed to be from Boston in this film, but Yeah, he's sounding pretty fucking Boston to me. He sort of affects this light twang that's neither here nor there. It's like Ray Winston trying to sound, well, like
I was
he's
about to
Boston
bring up that comparison.
in The Departed.
Yeah.
That's the inverse of what Marky Mark is doing in this film. You can take the Marky Mark out of Boston, but you can't take the Boston out of the Marky Mark.
Yeah.
So what else have you... The other classic quote is like, when Mark... Mark Wahlberg's parents are like Mel Gibson. He's a hardened manual labourer. The first time you meet him, he's like driving his truck angrily, experiencing some pretty bad road rage while listening to RP favourite of Yair, 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
A song about the working life, and he's just in there like, you fucking asshole, and then it turns out he's just like giving this lecture to this like little kid in the seat of the other car.
Truly exemplary of America.
Yeah, and his mum is played by Jackie Weaver. That's the great actor Jackie Weaver, the Australian veteran Jackie Weaver, not the fucking minor British politician, I guess, who was really like bossy in a really obnoxious British way in a meeting once and became a viral success and like got a book deal and stuff, and everyone was like, Jackie Weaver, Jackie Weaver, Jackie Weaver. I'm like, am I insane? So what world am I living in? Jackie Weaver in films. Sorry, can you... Anyway, it turned out that actually she was wrong in that meeting. Like, procedurally, she didn't even have the authority that she so vociferously claimed to. Anyway, it's the good Jackie Weaver in this film. So already, stellar cast. You've got Malcolm McDowell in it as well. Like, all the greats.
Nice.
And so Mark... has been like punched in the face one too many times as a boxer. You know, he's wanted for hate crimes in several states for just accidentally beating up ethnic minority guys, thinking that he was walking into the boxing ring. Not his fault, to be fair. Like, he's got so much brain damage that he's never quite sure where he is. Anyway, he just gets like slightly too much brain damage, and so he can't be a boxer anymore. So he goes to his mum. And he's like, I'm gonna become an actor. And she's like, baby, you don't belong with them LA people. They're a bunch of carpetbaggers. Communist fucking fascist hippies. Communist fucking fascist hippies.
Fascist hippies. Beautiful. Poetic.
These Hollywood freaks, right? You're gonna hear a bit more about them. So, he goes off to Hollywood. Like, there's loads of music, like, famous songs in this, by the way. Like, they've got Rhinestone Cowboy by Glenn Campbell. Turns out, one of the main things, because Mark Wahlberg was like, yeah, I plowed millions and millions of dollars into this film, like, of his own money. And a lot of that went on the music budget, apparently. Like, that's confirmed.
Done, yeah.
Anyway, like, handsome, young, like, 49-year-old Mark Wahlberg or whatever, he goes off to Hollywood, and what obviously is going to happen to a guy like him, as soon as he gets off the bus, he is assailed with the eyes by a woman. He's curious about this. Turns out it's a transgender woman in a shock reveal. He seems actually, like, pretty pleased by it, but it's a bit of a kind of... I mean, it's a bad and cheap scene, but Mark Wahlberg's character, it's trying to say that he doesn't get off on this, like, that he finds it weird, he didn't do a convincing job. He, obviously, this young, innocent, waifish, 49-year-old tough guy, lots of brain damage from being punched in the face repeatedly. What is going to happen to a guy like that? But he gets into the sleazy Hollywood producer's room, and there's a kind of casting couch scenario going on. So he's like, come on, I came all the way down from not Boston to make my fortune here. Why don't you give me a goddamn shot? And the guy's like, oh, you really want a shot? He's like, yeah, you bet. He's like, what are you going to do? Are you prepared to do this, and he like gestures to his penis, and Mark Wahlberg like violently assaults him, causes probably like several hundred, if not $1,000 worth of property damage by smashing his state-of-the-art camera that he's got, presumably to film himself being sucked off. Anyway, this guy, Mark Wahlberg, like, Me Too's the shit out of him, presume that in his own way. He doesn't need to make it public, because
he just beats the shit.
He's such a tough guy. Like he's not weak. Like
I was gonna say, like, yeah, unironically kind of based to beat up your aggressor like that, but just for the wrong reason, since it was presumably the gay thing that bothered him less than the taking advantage of him thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's not really like. I mean, yeah, the guy is like has a financial.
Like if it was a woman, I have a feeling he might have been like.
Yeah. No, but there is obviously like the whole time like Mark Wahlberg could beat the shit out of this guy. So unfortunately, he doesn't get very far as an actor. And unlike the real Mark Wahlberg, who is a professional actor. Fun facts. I'm sure that's on the IMDb trivia page.
Have you heard of this Mark Wahlberg fella before? I've never heard of him.
Why, yes, I have, and I'll tell you some more about him right now. So, Mark is basically, he notices this piping hot Latin American, much younger woman, probably about half his, probably the same age difference to him that Mel Gibson has to the writer and director of the film. Anyway, he gets the hots for her and basically starts stalking her. And it is literally identified by his boss as stalking. Like, he's like, I need to clock off when he sees her, and he, like, runs out, and the boss is like, whoa, hold your horses. Stalking customers is a fireable offense. And he's like, he takes a shot at, like, the woke culture that says you can't stalk people and stuff. And he's like, they used to call it romance. And I love the retort to this. This is some real, like, guys, cinema dialogue here. Our meat sales are down 20%. Like, that's, let's get down to the real issue.
Well, I got some meat I can sell down here.
Maybe that they were trying to imply that. It wasn't. I'm pretty sure.
It was another casting couch thing.
I transcribed that verbatim, so, I mean, I don't think that it's really that sophisticated. But yeah, his boss tries to stop him stalking this woman. Then he tries to reason with him, like saying, look, the meat sales are going down because you're too busy stalking, I guess. Anyway, Mark starts just going to her church, even though
your stalking is really starting to interfere with your job.
Yeah, Mark starts following her to church, literally, like, she's going to her church and asking her out and sitting in her church group and being like, yeah, I'll learn religion. Yeah, I think I can do that. Yeah. But however, he's not fully committed to the Christ-like life, because he's out, like, drinking a lot still and having regular car accidents. He seems to just be like, maybe it's like a kind of David Cronenberg's Crash thing. Like, this is the only thing that really gets him off, because that is certainly a film with like a weird relationship to sex, because he has it, I think, in the film precisely once before he takes his vow of chastity when he joins the priesthood.
Well, I don't know if this is just like a uniquely American phenomenon or something, but I've definitely met multiple individuals who they'd say stuff like, "Oh, I'm not very religious. I'm not a spiritual person. I'd love to go to church, though. I'd love to start like a Bible group and like get to know the faith. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, just because you're not literally going to church every weekend, that don't mean you're not religious.
Yeah.
If you want to go to church and study the fucking Bible like it's the literal word of God, you are already religious, my friend. And there's so many Christian movies that don't get that at all. They think like if you don't literally go to church like several times a week, then you're an atheist.
Well,
like...
he's got to be in my church quite a lot to stalk this woman who teaches. Teaches.
I bet it starts a lot for the people that way.
Yeah, she teaches like the kids there, and so he starts like taking like the 5-year-old like remedial level Christianity crash course, and so like he's like sitting there with
basically you own your wife, right? And you go do work, she makes babies.
It probably is that kind of church if it's Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson film, but yeah, like he's they don't really get into that kind of stuff in the film, but anyway, yeah,
they probably didn't want to scare off any Christianity, while like a thing here, is also very disparate by nature. Protestantism just doesn't really get along with other sects, and so in order to make a Christian film even remotely successful, they kind of have to keep some vagaries about it,
Oh, this one is pretty explicitly Catholic.
Okay. But not because there is that vein of Catholicism, that sort of JFK, Democrat, liberal Catholicism.
Not that pansy fucking nonsense. No, this is like make lots of money, fucking Bill Donahue, like
hardcore Italian fascist Catholic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's just like doing lots of drink driving, having lots of car crashes. He gets arrested for like drink driving or disorderly conduct like so many times in this film. One time he like gets caught by the police punching a statue of Jesus.
Based.
Yeah, and then like he basically like stalks/grooms this much younger woman into dating him. Anyway, yeah, so they're dating.
Like Errol Musk with his stepdaughter.
Oh god, yeah, I was saying that to you. That makes so much sense that that Elon's dad is this fucked up old cunt. But yeah, so Mark is Stu, Mark, whatever. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
They're one and the same.
Yeah, he gets into his worst car crash yet during his latest bit of drink driving, and he's like in a coma, and then his girlfriend, she comes along with a Bible, and like when she sits down next to him with this Bible, he just wakes up from his coma straight up, and his parents are just like, what is that filth here, have a copy of this, it's called God Is Not Great, why don't you read that instead? Anyway, just before this, right? So just before this car accident, he's at the bar, and this guy with like a really fucked up face sits down next to him, and he's just like, hey brother, how you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm gonna punch you in the face, because that's what I do with every guy I talk to at a bar. He's like, hold your horses, brother. I come in peace. Anyway, it's like basically heavily implied that
white men who overuse the word brother, always a little sus.
Well, one white man who was definitely white, who called people,
and I mean the full word brother,
who called people their brother in Christ, was a man called Jesus Christ himself, a white man called Jesus Christ.
White as China.
Of Nazareth, precisely. White as the heroin that Jesus Christ did. Did you know that Jesus Christ was big on heroin? Yes, but anyway, it's like heavily implied that this guy with like the hideously scarred face sitting next to Mark Wahlberg at a bar is Jesus. He's just drinking water. And
another Christian movie bingo thing.
Yeah, he's like, don't drink and drive tonight, brother. And Mark Wahlberg is like, what is this pussy shit?
Don't tell me what to do.
What are you talking about?
You're going to tell me to wear a mask in a pandemic or something?
Are you telling me it's even possible to drive without a drink first? That doesn't sound as scientific to me. So yeah, he obviously, Jesus has a hot tip there. He knows that Mark is going to get into a horrible car crash. Anyway, so he wakes up from his coma because of the Bible, and then he's like hanging out with his girlfriend, and she's like been saving herself for marriage. she's a very, very strict Catholic. But he's, like, a bit bummed out. He's just kind of sad. Like, he's just been in an accident. He feels a bit aimless. Like, his career as an actor, probably as a meat packer as well, they're not going anywhere. So he's just, like, sad. And so she's like, okay, all that stuff I believe that's, like, been integral to my belief set about no sex before marriage. Fuck all that. I'm gonna have sex with you. And Mark is like, yeah, tight, let's do this.
Nice.
This is what I've been looking for. Anyway.
I knew that if I just kept nagging you, then I would eventually wear you down to the point that you give up.
Because she's like, well, this guy's, like, stalked me pretty hard. He must be into me, so, yeah, we're definitely going to get married. So why not just do it a little bit early? What's the difference?
What is marriage except a lifelong stalking contract?
Well, yes, I believe that's what it says in the Bible. So they have sex, and then Mark is just like, he goes to confessions, like, he's like, I didn't enjoy it at all, actually, it was awful. All I could think about was disappointing God. So he feels so guilty about it, and he's like, he doesn't really, he literally has no, like, consideration for, like, how she feels in all this. So he, like, agrees to meet her at a diner, where they went on their first date, all that, however long ago it was. He's like, I got something to tell you. It's a big, big thing, and it's obviously 100% set up so that she thinks that he's gonna ask her to marry him. And he's just like, yeah, so I'm joining the priesthood and I'm taking a vow of celibacy, so thanks, but I am just gonna kind of, like, disappear from your life. I hope you get straight with God, for defiling yourself. Like that. So he's off to, seek purity for himself, and he kind of throws her to the wayside. Just
a kind of Douglas Adams-esque, so long and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah. So he, like, becomes a priest. Well, he joins he persuades Malcolm McDowell to let him join the seminary school, so he's there, like, learning the ropes. He's got the, like, a bit of a, like, mismatched buddy comedy kind of thing. Someone else compared it to Revenge of the Nerds, like, where him and the gay priest who's jealous of him, like, have to share a room and stuff, and he, like, keeps him up very Mike Gapes, actually, like, he keeps him up all night, like, just ringing his bells. He's like, I gotta practice ringing my bells! So presumably there's some art to the ringing of the bells. He does make some actual friends there as well. He sits down, there's this one guy, who's called Ham, his friend Ham. He basically just sits down, he introduces himself, not literally this, but it's pretty much like, he's like, so you're black, eh? So what's that all about? Like, just like full on, like, Gran Torino, like, starts with a racial ribbing, and this...
Can I use slurs?
Yeah. Can I say it? Like, hey, I've always wondered, let me ask you this. You guys can say it, why can't I? Yeah, he basically just, like, has a whole, like, very, very, like, racial rapport with this guy, Ham, as well as making fun of him, for being called Ham. Which is so funny. I don't know if that was, like, in real life. There was
Wait, is this a black guy named Ham?
A black guy named Ham.
Like almost like the Mormon, like, curse of Ham thing?
He's like, yeah, it's in the Bible, bro. He's like, that's cool, bro, weird. That's church, I read the Bible, man.
I mean, Ham is also just a weird name in general, but...
Anyway,
especially with that reference.
Yeah, so they've got this whole banter going around, revolving around that guy being black and called Ham.
Your identity is a joke to
me. Yeah. Like, so Mark starts showing these signs of, maybe not being, so he starts, like, feeling all fucked up, and he hasn't even been punched in the face or got into a car accident. Like, he's just, like, falling over and shit, and he's like losing games of basketball. He's like, hey, you're black. It's like, come on. You had the upper hand. But he falls over one day and he just can't get up, and it turns out he has some, like, incurable, like, I guess, like, ALS kind of thing, like, basically he loses his...
kind of muscular.
Yeah, there's such a cringeworthy scene where he's like, give it to me straight, dog. what will go first? And he's like, well, I can tell you what goes last.
Dick.
No, he's like, if the doctor's like, well, actually, erectile function is generally one of the last things to go. And he's like, Doc!
Nice.
I'm trying to be a priest here! Such a cringy moment. Just like, imagine he just put that in. No, put that in. We want all the abstinent trainee priests to cheer when that... Yeah! We're making a good life choice! I mean, yeah, the rest of the film is just like him... Oh, sorry, I just put on the Pearl Jam song by accident on my phone. Like, the rest of the film is just him, like, progressively, like, losing his bodily functions and, like, getting really fat as well. Like, they, like, bulked Mark up for this. I think partly prosthetic and partly he really put on a bit of weight. And he is, like, really fat by the end, like, comically fat because it's Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him fat.
No, I don't know if it's been done. I told you I watched that movie recently where he was autistic. That was like a novel Mark Wahlberg thing, you know, outside of like, he was a tough guy in that film, but yeah, like a heavily autistic tough guy. So yeah, in this, he's like a tough guy who is like untuffed by this like hideous life-ending disease. And yeah, that's basically like the last bit is just like, they've got a bit of like a redemption arc. Mel Gibson's character, stops drinking and so another thing is like, so the reason that Mel Gibson hates God and Jackie Weaver as well, they hate God so much, they raised, Mark as a godless pagan, is that their other son died. So they've literally got this whole, like, the wrong kid died thread
Classic.
running through the film. Like, Mel's just constantly, like, staring at a picture of his dead son, like, you know, his gun in his hand. Oh, and when Mark announces to him and his mum that he's gonna join the clergy, Mel just, like, pulls out his gun, like, cocks it, and just hands it to Mark, and he's like, you might as well finish me off instead of disgracing this family by joining the priesthood. But at the end, actually, Mel
unironically what I'd do if my child said that to me.
Unironically, I just give Mel Gibson a gun and tell him to
well,
shoot
he probably
himself.
wouldn't need an excuse, would he? To shoot me.
Oh yeah, fuck.
Oh wait, no, he officially doesn't hate the Jews anymore. It's all
No,
good.
he was gonna make a film about the Maccabees, not the like low level indie band from the mid 2000s. Yeah, he was he like had Joe Esterhaz, of all fucking people. Like, you're writing this like serious historical epic, like just get like Joe Esterhaz, who just writes like the trashiest shit and hadn't done anything in years at that point. I like some Joe Esterhaz shit, don't get me wrong. And he did do a couple of films with Costa Gavras, actually, so he has got like a little bit of cred in like serious cinema, although they're not among Gavras's better films necessarily. But yeah, that was meant to be like Mel Gibson's like mea culpa to the Jews. Like, he was going to do this whole thing like after Passion of the Christ. And
are we even?
yeah, after his comments he made when he was arrested and all this other shit, he was like gonna make this whole film that was just like, yeah, Mel Gibson actually really respects the rich traditions of Jewish history, but no, it never came. It never came together. And Joe Esterhaz actually wrote like an expose of Mel Gibson called Heaven and Mel, which painted him as a full-on anti-Semite who was literally just doing it to get back in the good graces of Jewish people. And also it had some kind of juicy stuff about his like rages and so forth. Where was I?
You were telling Mel Gibson was telling Marky Mark to just shoot him.
Yeah. So he hates God because like the wrong kid died, and then he's like hates God even more for a bit because Mark's also gonna die, his other son. But then by the end, he's back together with Jackie Weaver. It's like they preserved the tradition of marriage. I don't know if they ever got divorced so much as separated, but anyway,
if they're Catholics, probably not.
Yeah, they're back together. And he is attending AA meetings and has accepted a higher power.
Because I'm sure that every divorced couple should really get back together.
Yeah, just like...
It's definitely not a great reason why they get divorced.
Just like Mel Gibson with his ex-wife, who we heard those lovely messages that he recorded down the phone to her. I'm sure Rosalind Ross, the director and writer of this film, would be perfectly happy, just for Mel to, bring his family back together as it should be. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much my whole, rundown of the entire plot of fucking Father Stu.
It's pretty good, yeah. Pretty in-depth.
Insane film. What... genuinely one of the strangest things I've watched in a while.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Just remember, at the end of the day, I'm not gay, alright? And God's not a gangster.
I'll remember that, Jack.
Oh yeah, the other really jokes bit is so when he joins the seminary and is becoming a priest, the whole time the girlfriend just completely disappears. And then, after all he's been through, Malcolm McDowell, the chief priest, the high priest, the witch doctor,
the king priest, whatever they call him,
the anti-pope. He's just I spoke to the archdiocese and sorry, you can't become a priest. And they basically they're just it's basically like ableism. They're just you can't become a priest because your horrible disabled ass will just be drooling on the confession booth and pissing on the wafers or whatever, and so they are yes, no, sorry, disabled people can't be priests, them's the ropes, them's the breaks, as Boris Johnson said in his resignation speech. Again, R.I.P., a brave man, a noble man, an ordinary man. Then Mel Gibson is wake up, son, we go to church. He's church? Well, you said you'd never set foot in one of those places again, Dad. He's God, get your goddamn suit on, we're going. And so Mel Gibson takes him to church, and his ex-girlfriend is standing outside church in a white dress, and it looks like they've arranged a marriage for him before he dies. His family have just
arranged marriage.
Bequeathed. His dad's spoken to her dad, and he's bequeathed her unto him for his final days. And Mel Gibson's you're gonna need someone to wipe your ass who isn't me. But that's the kind of...
Jesus Christ.
It's a very vulgar kind of film. That's why I'm saying it's different to most Christian films, because it's fuck this, fuck that.
And that's so unvarnished. That is so brutally just Christian. With none of the window dressing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can't be a priest if you're disabled. Fuck you.
But here's the twist.
And they're giving someone I'm just explaining again just because M's here.
Yeah.
Mark was bequeathed a wife because he's so disabled that he needs someone to wipe his ass, and his dad doesn't want to do it.
Well, that's what his dad told him.
Christian movie.
That's what his dad told him. But actually, the twist is that Malcolm McDowell put in a good word with the archdiocese, and they are letting Marky Mark.
Oh, they let him become a priest. Oh, they let him be a priest.
The white dress was just a decoy. I don't know. They're like, can you come in a white dress just to trick Father Stu? Just to fuck with our dying, my dying son. But yeah, no, actually they let...
Catholics are nothing if not jokers.
Yeah, well, exactly. And they lead him up the aisle, not to get married, but to be ordained as a priest. And then, yeah, I think IRL, he basically just died. There's not really much happened after that. He was pretty much in the final stages.
I doubt he did much actual priesting.
Nah, prayer up. There's this. So you get on. So I've seen screenshots. I haven't actually got the promoted ad, which I really should at this point. But Mark Wahlberg has got this new Christian app that he's big into. It's one of his many business ventures, and it's just there's just a picture of him, like, Marky Mark, Marky Mark's like, hey, all you out there, get your rosaries out, and let's prayer up. Like,
yeah, they talk like that.
Yeah, and I saw this article. It was like some stupid clickbait article on the Independent site. It was just like, this man's life was changed by 6 words from Mark Wahlberg. I'm just like, okay, so how many of them were racial slurs?
Only 4.
It's like, prayer up, Boston strong, what else?
Redacted.
Yeah, then he just says his name. Prayer up, Boston strong, Mark Wahlberg. Like, signed Mark Wahlberg.
That's 7 words.
Yeah, I didn't mean literally signed. I meant just
I don't know. Mark Wahlberg would probably say the part out loud.
Yeah, that's the
Do I say the stuff in parentheses?
That's the clean version. You don't want to hear the stuff in parentheses. Oh, God.
Christ, on a cracker. Yeah, I mean, it'd be the most cucked plot ever if it was a whole movie basically about becoming a priest and he doesn't become a priest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally...
That'd be like watching the Batman with no fucking Batman in it.
Yeah. He has to become Father Stu at some point, otherwise it's just Stu. Just...
What's this, even with this title?
Yeah, just a film about a guy called Stu. He doesn't have any kids either, so it's not like it's got some double meaning.
Well, that sounds like a trip that I hopefully never go down.
A psychedelic trip.
I feel like I've been down it with you today.
Oh yeah, we've been down so many roads, and they all lead to Boston.
Like every road.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Marky Mark. You have been watching a lot of stuff with the Marky Mark.
Yeah, I enjoy a bit of Marky Mark. There was super Boston-y Spencer Confidential, which came out a couple of years ago. Couldn't tell you shit about that. Gonna have to give it a rewatch, but that was like really entertaining and just like, what is this movie? Who is it for? And the answer is just, I guess, like, people who like Marky Mark, people who are invested in Boston as a concept. But like the ones that I watched recently was Patriots Day, which was about when George Bush did the Boston bombings in 2013. And it's
I know that movie, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, you'd know the broad strokes of the Boston Marathon bombing, right? I was joking about the George Bush thing. That's not a thing you've forgotten about, but like you haven't heard.
Yeah. I've heard of the Boston bombing. I vaguely
in 2013
know some stuff about it. I don't really know a lot, honestly. Yeah.
It was like
I remember how like Reddit all decided that somebody was guilty, some person of color, of course, and it wasn't them at all.
Oh right, yeah, I don't remember that, but yeah, it was like these two guys, these brothers, Joe. I'm just gonna say Joker. It genuinely is pronounced a bit like Joker. And Tamirian Snaria. I watched this film. I cannot remember how to say their names. So, if you're editing it, don't cut out me butchering the names. It's way funnier just to keep that in.
Welcome to the language butchering hour. What other languages could we destroy?
What you got? Like, because I would like fuck up anyone.
Let's do some Welsh. Let's talk about Doctor Who.
Haven't I like done enough to the Welsh of it? Like the Owen Smith voice, the Neil Kinnock voice, like all of them.
Oh yeah, classic, of course, yes.
Anyway, yeah. So
you were saying about Boston.
Yeah. So this film, like, it's basically all about the birth of the concept of Boston Strong, and I actually kind of missed this. Like, I first heard of Boston Strong, like, when me and FFF were doing the season 1 of Gatecast, we had the episode where Gapes goes to Vegas and like causes, just like wreaks havoc, causes a reign of terror. They declare a state of emergency in Nevada and stuff like that. Like Gapes, at one point, so Gapes like in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, they obviously end up going to like a police convention on drugs.
Yeah.
On drugs. A convention on drugs. On drugs.
I'm not really sure I can answer that. But what I can tell you, sir, is if Margaret Mead, at her age, smoked grass, she'd have one hell of a trip. One more layer of deviance to the woman.
Fucking bullshit.
And we like did it where it's just like a general police convention that Gapes just like turns up to sell all this like white meth. We introduce elements of Breaking Bad as well, like him and Richard Miller go out to the desert and cook up a load of white meth, which is like it's like the blue meth in Breaking Bad, but like it's got milk in it and so it's white instead. And like
it's also just generally meth colored. Like,
yeah, but it's extra white. It's like it's really
it's
white.
Luminous.
Yeah, exactly. So they go to this police conference to like sell the white meth because like from Gapes' experience, like if you go to conferences, there's always lots of trots there who want to buy meth. So they go to the police conference, and anyway, it turns out that Gapes is actually on the guest of honor at the conference, and like he's on the bill to deliver the keynote speech, which he eventually delivers, and it riles up the police from all over Nevada and across America into rioting themselves, and that's why they declare the state of emergency in Nevada. There's also a meth epidemic for obvious reasons. But we had basically, long story short, so we have like we recorded a bunch of ad-libs where it's just like we're cops like approvingly heckling during Gapes' speech. So, like, Gapes will say some shit like, "The police must have the power to kill, to maim, to irreparably harm children of all sizes and shapes." Like, something like that. And then the police will start yelling out some shit like, "Murder's not a crime when we do it!" Like, shit like that. Or, like, one of them that FFF came up with was like, "Yeah, Gapes, go it's like, "Boston strong, Marky Mark for president." Something like that. And that was the first time I ever heard Boston strong. That is my review of the film Patriots Day. Thank you. No. But I don't know if I have that much to say to this. It's with Wahlberg's usual director, Peter Berg, who he's done a bunch of films with, like Lone Survivor, that fucking what's it called? I'm totally gonna rewatch Spencer Confidential tonight, actually. That he's that one, and Deepwater Horizon, which is like, I don't know, I guess my tastes were a little bit more middlebrow back in the day. I was kind of excited when that film was announced because it was going to be directed by J.C. Chanda, who had done that film Margin Call, which is like about how Kevin Spacey caused the financial crisis or whatever. And then I mean, I've no idea if in retrospect that's a good film. But I was like, oh yes, serious director. He's gonna tell it how it is about how BP's negligent corporate practices caused a terrible environmental disaster, but also had devastating economic implications for people all around the Gulf Coast. And then I saw like Mark Wahlberg has been cast and J.C. Chanda has dropped out and has been replaced by Peter Berg of Lone Survivor. I was like, oh, fuck's sake. I've still never seen that film, but now I'm kind of like, oh, I'd quite like to watch that and see if like BP do get it in the neck a bit. I've heard John Malkovich gives a fine, like, mustachio twirling performance as a Cajun big oil exec, so there could be some promise in that film.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, but Patriots Day, it's kind of funny because you've got, like, returning to Breaking Bad, you've got the kind of, like, Jesse Pinkman, Skinny Pete, Badger type bomber, and his brother who's, like, a seriously committed terrorist. And so you've got him, he's just like, yeah, we must kill the infidels, and his brother's like, yo, I love pussy, am I an infidel? I
like bombs, yeah.
Yeah. Or he's like, yeah, these decadent Western pigs, they must die, and his brother's like, yeah, man, pass the bowl, yo. And, like, so it's a funny dynamic, which by all accounts is pretty true between these two guys. I think, have they been executed? No, it says is for Joker, who's like 1 year older than me. He's probably the same age as you. July 22nd, 1993.
Yeah, that's pretty close. That's just a couple months younger than me.
There you go. And he is I'm pretty sure he got sentenced to death. His death sentence was vacated on appeal in 2020. Oh no, but the Supreme Court reversed this decision in March 2022. So
of course, classic.
He had 2 years of like, I'm not gonna die, and now he's got to be like, I might die. What if it was like, what if one of these people we're murdering gets COVID? What if it's it might be we might contaminate people when we're executing them.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that.
Yeah, they announced at the end of the film and that, like, they got the two brothers were sentenced to death. What about, Tamirian has been executed. Let's see, when did they execute him? Or no, wait, did he actually? No, I think he actually got killed in the course of his escape. Yeah. He was captured during the shootout, but died, partly as a result of his brother driving over him. That's what I'm saying about his brother was just a fucking idiot. But yeah, this guy, like, masterminded the whole shit, you know. Anyway...
that's a great dynamic to have for a terrorist attack. I'm sure.
That's I don't even know if that was in the film. Like, his brother runs over him trying to get away.
I feel like you'd probably remember that.
Yeah, but they have like basically Mark Wahlberg plays like a fake patriotic Boston cop in this film, which, need I remind you, is called Patriots Day. Boston Day. Why didn't they call it Boston Strong? I guess they wanted to sell it to markets outside Boston. But do those markets really matter?
Right.
I saw Chapa Trap House described this as like Boston trying really hard to have their own 9/11, but like way fewer people were killed in the Boston bombings, you know.
Yeah, roughly 3 people versus 3,000.
It looks like, I have no idea what it was actually like, but it looks mad in the film. I'm not sure if they like made it look more spectacular than it is, but it was like huge explosions and shit. Like,
I mean, I'm sure it was pretty crazy, but like just totally different circumstances. So you were never gonna have as many casualties in an open area where people can escape.
That's true.
So many people on 9/11 survived the actual explosion and then, just died in like the fire or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, in the film you basically have like Mark Wahlberg, he's just like pure Boston. And he's not even like a high up cop or anything. He's just like a sergeant, but he's like privy to all the major discussions as like the audience,
of course,
the audience surrogate, because they're just like, we need a guy who knows Boston, like
a fly on the wall.
Yeah, because like Kevin Bacon is like the cuck fucking FBI guy who isn't from Boston, who's like trying to like boss everyone around, and they're like, you don't understand Boston. Yeah, and that film's alright, but let me just like read you the police Wikipedia description at the end. Later in, oh wait, no, that's not it. Crowds cheer in the streets of surrounding neighborhoods after Joker is arrested, while Saunders and his colleagues celebrate. The Boston police are invited to attend a Boston Red Sox game, where David Ortiz, who is a Dominican-American former professional baseball player, designated hitter and first baseman who played 20 seasons in Major League Baseball, primarily with the Boston Red Sox, thanks them for their heroism and tells them to stay strong. The epilogue reveals that Joker was sentenced to death by lethal injection and is awaiting his appeal in federal prison. His 3 college friends were arrested. Oh yeah, because he's got his friends who are like, oh yeah, bro, whoa, is that you on TV doing the terrorism? And he like texts them back like, oh, whoops, can't say, you know? And so they didn't rat him out to the police, and so they got arrested. Fucking idiots.
Isn't it great? Yeah.
His 3 college friends were arrested for obstructing the bombing investigation, and authorities are continuing to seek investigation regarding Russell's possible investigation in the bomb. Who the fuck is Russell? I don't know. I missed that. One of their friends, possibly. Anyway. Yeah, but the funny thing that they don't mention here is that they have this thing where, like, Mark Wahlberg, who, like, he's probably like under investigation for like some minor misuse of funds or something. That's the kind of thing you have in a character in this type of film, you know, like Denzel in
Red
films
Tape.
with Tony Scott. Like, yeah, he's just done some like minor naughty thing to like protect his family, and it was bad. Yeah, he knows it was against the rules, and then he eventually owns up to it, and everyone's like, I kind of get that. And so, like, I think Mark Wahlberg's had that kind of thing, and that's probably why he's like a sergeant, not like running the Boston police like John Goodman.
Of course.
But like he just like sits down with his other cop, and the other cop is like, "It's crazy, man. How can something like this happen? How could someone do this to Boston?" And he's just like, "Well, listen, you know, I always think about it like this. A lot of people were full of hate, and we gotta push back at those people with love. There's a lot of hate in the world, you know, and what the world needs is love.
Sweet love.
Because there's hate, and there's love, and there's those that would try and divide us and keep us apart.
And that's why we immediately got out of Afghanistan, and we definitely didn't saber rattle with Ukraine. And God knows what other kind of imperial things are going on around the world.
No, it's a simple...
Because we got to show them love.
There's people who are full of love, like Boston, the good people of Boston. And then there's the bad people, the pieces of shit, who are full of hate. And that's like for non-Boston people, cucks from the FBI, Hillary, and terrorists, like that kind of thing. But like, I mean, there's a few funny bits about this film, like where it's like someone's like, why don't we go and knock out some doors, ask them if they've seen any goddamn queer terrorists, and they're like, What do you mean? Nobody in that neighborhood has spoken of a police in 40 years. Yeah, but this is Boston. And people in Boston don't stand for terrorism. This is different.
Where exactly do they stand for terrorism? I've never
like,
heard of a society being like, oh yeah, terrorism.
Non-Boston places, like whatever FBI shithole Kevin Bacon's character crawled out.
I mean,
FBI Boston
cool,
office,
but...
apparently. They totally did not give him that Boston feel.
The FBI loves terrorism, just as long as it's not on U.S. soil.
Oh yeah, and the other thing is, like...
Well, that'd be the CIA. But...
There's this, like, very real thing that happened where this, like, Chinese guy... Shall I try... Oh, no, Dun Meng. I may have fucked up his name, but that's what it says on the page.
Sure, I don't know.
Probably one of the less egregious pronunciations I've made today. Anyway, he was just like a guy who was just like driving his car, minding his own business around Boston, and the Snarevs carjacked him while they were on the run.
I think these guys might not be good people.
No, they're pretty bad guys. Yeah, and they just like drove him around, and they like scared him, and they like tried to convince him that what they were doing was good and stuff. Like, bro, we're just doing it because this culture, you know, Bush did 9/11, and like they do say some shit about Bush doing 9/11, and then basically, like, he manages to escape. Like, they stop, like, at a gas station, and he just cheeses it. He just runs away and successfully manages to get away. He, like, runs to a convenience store and hides. And they have a bit where, like, Mark Wahlberg's character, like, comes in. It's just, like, in his very, like, aggressive Mark Wahlberg-y way, is, like, being nice to him. He's like, "You're a very brave guy!" He's just like basically shaking this like Asian guy, and you're like, "Oh, this is Mark Wahlberg, isn't it?" You know, who is famously convicted of assaulting and I think blinding a Vietnamese American guy.
Wow. Okay.
I thought, oh jeez. Yeah. See, I wasn't aware of you were aware of that. He actually asked whatever state, Massachusetts probably. He asked the state to like expunge his conviction, and they said no. He asked them to like pardon him because he couldn't, with his criminal conviction, set up a chain of his Wahlburger burger joints in a particular state. So he asked for forgiveness, and they were like, no. but the actual guy did forgive him for what it's worth. But anyway, there is something kind of uncomfortable about that. Just anything Mark Wahlberg in close proximity to an Asian guy, and I'm pretty sure like he initially isn't sure if he's a terrorist or what, so he's like kind of rough with him, like, speak to me, tell me, speak English, speak Boston to me. Yeah, that's Patriot Day anyway. I haven't seen
what a trip.
Yeah, that's like the main Marky Mark joint I watched recently, other than I rewatched The Other Guys. Oh, and I rewatched Pain and Gain, which I mentioned to you earlier. I think actually holds up quite well.
I gotta rewatch it.
Yeah, because I think
I haven't watched it since release.
When I didn't like it, I was kind of just like, what didn't I like about it? Because it's like, it ticks so many for boxes of films I like crime, comedy, like stupid tough guys. It's like got Ed Harris in it as a private detective. Like Rob Corddry's one of like the funniest balls guys.
I guess it's rather puerile, but
it's puerile, but then I like a lot of puerile stuff. I was just saying The Other Guys is great, like jokes about like a bunch of old homeless men having an orgy in a car and calling it a soup kitchen. Like that's like a classic film. So I mean, Yeah, what was I thinking?